Hi everyone, this is Sarah from the blog Candle in the Kitchen. Welcome to today's video where I'll be making homemade gifts for teachers. Well, the candle's lit, so we're going to get going here. There's a lot to do today. I want to make apricot jam, almond nougat, and some sourdough bread. For the recipe I need 1.4 kilos of apricots. These ones I bought at the market yesterday. That's really nice to have a market just outside our house to go and buy fresh fruit and vegetables every week. So I cut them up into small pieces and then I'm going to let them stew for 10 minutes. And while they're stewing, I'm going to prepare the pectin. So I pour the packet of pectin into this bowl with 2 tablespoons of sugar and leave it to one side. The apricots have been stewing for 10 minutes and now I'm going to add the pectin mixture to them, bring it to the boil and let it boil for 3 minutes. While that's boiling, I'm going to get the jam jars sterilised. So here they are in a big saucepan of boiling water. I'm just going to let them boil for the whole time that I'm making the jam. Now I've measured out the sugar that we need, 1.8 kilograms of sugar for apricot jam, and I pour that into the apricot and pectin mixture, bring it to a rolling boil. Now this is what a rolling boil looks like. I've sped it up a little bit, but you can see how many bubbles there are, and it needs to boil like that for another 3 minutes. The jam jars are nicely sterilised, so I've taken them out of the saucepan with tongs and put them on a clean tea towel, and they're ready and waiting to have the jam poured into them in a little while. Now the jam looks like it's pretty much done, so I'm going to do the plate test. It should be on a cold plate, but I forgot to put it in the fridge, so it's just a normal plate. Basically you drop a few drops of jam onto the plate, and if it sets straight away then it's done. And here I'm skimming off the impurities off the top of the jam, and that's really important, especially if you're intending on keeping the jam for a while before eating it. So as you can see now, I'm filling up all of the jam jars. You have to be really careful because the jam is very, very hot. You just pour it into each jar, filling them right up to the top, and then very carefully put the lid on each one and turn it upside down. This will enable the vacuum to be created and the little popper on the lid to go down. So now it's time to make the almond nougat. First of all, I'm going to roast the almonds in the oven at 180 degrees Celsius for 10 minutes. Next, I'm going to make a caramel with sugar and honey. Now this needs to cook for quite a long time because it needs to be quite dark. Full disclosure, this is the second lot I'm making because I burnt the first lot. You have to be really, really careful with the temperature here. It needs to heat up to 164 degrees Celsius. But what you need to know is that it'll stabilise at 150 degrees Celsius and stay there for quite a long time. But as soon as it starts moving again, you pretty much need to take it off the heat right away because it'll shoot up to over 160 degrees Celsius very, very quickly. So that's what happened to me the first time. I didn't take it off the heat quickly enough and it burnt and it was just unusable. So this is the second lot I'm doing here, and I'm keeping a close eye on the thermometer. I've lined the baking sheet with parchment and now I'm putting the wafer sheets on there. So that's what's going to cover the nougat and make it so that it's not sticky on the outside. Now I did make a mistake there too. I've put 2 sheets down, I should have only put 1 down, and you'll see why in a little while. So you can see here I've beaten an egg white in my mixer, and now I'm adding really slowly the caramel that I've made to the egg white, and this is going to make a very, very stiff, almost, I guess it's like a meringue, but a very, very stiff and sticky one. And you can see how dark the caramel is. It is really almost black. It's such a fine line between being just right and being burnt, so you do have to be super careful. If you'd like this recipe for homemade almond nougat, I'll put it in the description below. So now that all of the caramel has been added to the meringue, I'm going to put in the almonds, one handful at a time. I did wonder about doing this by hand or by doing it in the machine. I'm quite glad I did it in the machine because the mixture is so stiff, it's actually really difficult to stir it by hand. So little by little I'm adding all of the almonds. Now this is where you'll see I made the mistake with the wafer sheets, because you have to put this sticky mixture on the wafer sheet, and I put it in the middle and they split, so there's part of the nougat that is not covered by the wafer sheet. Now next time I'll just use one sheet and that will be fine. I think you can tell the mixture is quite difficult to handle. I'm just doing the best I can. I'm going to put another sheet on the top and press it down so that it's about 1.5 centimeters thick, which will make it easier to cut up pieces to put in little bags for the teachers. So there you go, the wafer sheet's on the top. It's not perfect, but it's tasty. I've tasted some of the mixture already. It's very, very good. So I think it'll be a good present. Now we're on to something that I'm a lot more comfortable with, sourdough bread. I've decided to make multigrain sourdough bread this time. You can find the recipe for that on the blog and you'll be able to print it off if you wish. Now I'm actually doubling the recipe this time, but I'll give you the ingredients as if I was making one loaf. So 120 grams of starter, 350 grams of warm water, 500 grams of T110 flour, which is whole grain flour, and 10 grams of salt. I'm going to start mixing with the Danish hook, but then I'm going to get in there with my hands because you can only go so far with the Danish hook. As you can see, the dough is quite shaggy, it's not smooth at all, and I'm just going to clean down the sides of the bowl, which will make the stretching and folding and coil folds a lot easier. I know this might seem pretty complicated and you might be wondering why I don't just go out and buy presents for teachers at the end of the year. And the reason is we have 4 children and they all have lots of activities, classroom assistants and so on, so the price gets pretty high if I want to buy a present for everybody. And I also find that the teachers seem to really appreciate homemade gifts, so I like to make them a little something every year. It might not be nougat, That's pretty complicated. I don't think I'll be doing that again, but I'd like to make something. There are lots of possibilities of homemade gifts that are pretty simple and easy to pull together. You could make homemade cookies, or maybe you have a beautiful garden and you can do a little bouquet of cut flowers from your garden. Lots of different ideas, a cake to be shared in the staff room, whatever you like really. Now I've just covered the dough and it's going to sit on the side for 30 minutes to rest. Now it's time to roast the seeds. Roasting is a really important part of the process. It brings out all of the flavours. So if you were just making one loaf, you would put 1 tablespoon each of flax seeds, sunflower seeds, chia seeds and sesame seeds. Sesame seeds are my absolute favourite in this. I just love the flavour. Now I didn't show you, but you kind of stretch the dough out into a rectangle on the work surface and then fold it over. So you take the top part, the top third, and you fold it into the middle. Then do the same with the bottom third, and then the right hand third you fold to the middle, and then the left hand third to the middle, and you end up with a nice roll of dough on the work surface, which you can then put into the bowl, and it's ready for the coil folds. I just love this bench scraper. It gets all of the dough off the work surface and means that I have a lot less dough stuck in my sponge when I clean afterwards. Then you cover the bowl again for 30 minutes and leave it to rest. And now it's time for the coil folds. So to do the coil folds, you lift up the dough in the centre and fold it over itself. And you need to repeat that until the dough comes away from the edge of the bowl. Once you've done that side, you turn it 180 degrees and repeat the same movement on the other side. And you can see the dough is quite sticky, so it's not coming away completely from the edge of the bowl. But you'll be able to see the difference later on in the video when the dough is stronger. Now we need to turn it 90 degrees and do the same thing again. Lift it in the centre, fold it over itself, and already you can see that it's coming away from the edge a lot easier. Turn the bowl 180 degrees and repeat the same movement for the last time. And you can see the nice roll of dough that you have in the middle of your bowl, and it'll spread out, but it'll still keep its shape. You cover your bowl and leave it again for 30 minutes. Now this is the second coil fold. You can see that the dough is already a little bit stronger. It's coming away a little bit easier, but it's still quite sticky. Once again, cover the bowl and leave it to rest for 30 minutes. And now it's time for the third set of coil folds, and you can really tell the difference in the dough now. Look how strong it is. It's coming away from the edge of the bowl without any trouble at all. And this is going to be the last coil folds that we'll do, because it doesn't need any more strengthening now. It's just going to bulk ferment until it's ready to be shaped. I'm afraid I didn't get any footage of me shaping the loaves last night because it was in the evening, and you know what evenings are like with small children. Anyway, I shaped them into these oval shapes and put them in the oval Bannerton baskets in the fridge overnight, and now they're ready to be baked. So I'm going to score them, but first of all I sprinkle them with rice flour. Now I love this scoring pattern. I'll have to do another video soon to show you how to do it. In they go with boiling water in a preheated pan to create lots of steam. They cook with the steam for 20 minutes and then I take the steam out and cook them again for 10 more minutes. And I'm going to be preparing all of the pretty packaging for the other gifts, the jam and the nougat, while that's cooking, and it'll be all ready to go for the teachers this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please click subscribe and follow along for more homemade recipe ideas, gluten and dairy free meal ideas, and lots of sourdough. Bye!